What's poppin', everybody? It's your boy Shottyflo, back at it again with a banger video coming at you today. You know, you've heard me talk a lot about Mario Kart, but you've never actually seen me play Mario Kart. And well, today, that's not changing. I'm gonna be talking about the tracks in Mario Kart 8, and specifically, I'm gonna be ranking them on a tier list from S to F. This is all gonna be based on my opinion, okay? I've got some criteria, like what makes a course good, okay? I'm looking at things like fun drivable lines, a nice aesthetic, a fun theme, shortcuts, multiple paths, dynamic obstacles, surface variety. So I've got my course rack here on the side of the screen, and I'm gonna be pulling from them according to the random wheel picker. Now take note, this is the first 48 tracks of Mario Kart 8, so it's not going to include any of the booster pack courses, but we will get to those once Wave 6 is fully announced. Don't you worry. But yeah, I haven't thought much about this prior to doing this. I'm just going off of my gamer knowledge and experience. But yeah, I'm going to do this at random. I don't want to spend too long on any given course, so let's just spin the wheel and see what the first course is going to be. Oh my god, it's SNES Rainbow Road. Okay, so I will say I kind of don't love the old like GBA and SNES courses that much because they tend to be kind of boring for me. But yeah, this one's super simple. It doesn't have a whole lot going for it, but of course it's a legacy course, which means that by nature it's going to be pretty simple. But look, I'm putting every single course in a vacuum here. I'm looking at it just as a course as it exists in Mario Kart 8, and look, there's not much going on this course. Is it the first Rainbow Road ever? Maybe. I don't know. I think it might be. And if it is, cool. That's great. It looks pretty cool. I like the whole thing they've got going with it. The rainbow thwomps are dope. But at the end of the day, this is a very, very minimalistic course. Not much going on. Another thing I feel like I should base my ranking off of is if I would pick it. If I would actually pick to race on it. And honestly, SNES Rainbow Road, I'm not picking it. I'm just not. So I'm going to put it in D tier. Where our first one's going in D tier, okay? I was hoping we'd get like a B or C, just kind of set it at a good level, but I can't put this one any higher than D tier if I'm being honest. All right, number 2 is going to be Toad Harbor. Okay, this is easily the best Toad track in the game. Let's think about what I talked about. It's got interesting obstacles, like the trolley carts. It has mega verticality. You spend the first half of the track going up, the second half of the track going down. There's a sideways wall with anti-grav track. There's a shortcut over the boat at the start and multiple paths that you can go on just after the start. I think that this is actually a pretty damn good course. The lines are pretty good, there's always an opportunity to catch up, and I don't think there's anything like super outwardly annoying about this track. There's a lot of corners to cut, and there's just a lot of interesting things going on if you really look at it. I think if anything, like the aesthetic of this track is what kind of drags it down a bit. But I'm actually gonna put Toad Harbor in B. I think it's a B tier track. Number 3, Super Bell Subway. Okay, I do not love this track. If I'm being honest. When I'm talking about annoying obstacles, I'm kind of talking about things like the trains. Now, honestly, on this map, there's a lot of branching pathways in the subway part that you can just completely avoid the subway. Like, you've got the upper paths, which are pretty cool. And there is that shortcut at the end that you can use if you've got a mushroom. Honestly, like, I really don't like this track. I would never pick it. But I think that it's gonna be better than the ones in D and C. I feel like Super Bell Subway is kind of a C tier track because it has good things to it. Like, it's kind of dope that you can drive on the trains, even though it's pretty hard to do. But I don't see it being as bad as the ones below it, or as bland as the ones below it. Like, it has too much going on to be in D tier, even if the things that are going on can be kind of annoying. All right, number 4 is going to be Twisted Mansion. Okay, what do I think about Twisted Mansion? How much does this course really have going on for it? It's got a shortcut at the start, you can cut corners at the end, and there's a few kind of interesting spots on the track. This track has a variety of different surfaces, from just normal to zero grav, to even an underwater section, which doesn't really help it in any way for me, to be honest. I think the aesthetic is pretty decent. It kind of is Luigi's Mansion-esque, but if we're comparing it to like Luigi's Mansion tracks of the past, I think it's pretty damn boring compared to those. It does have a glider section and some decent lines. I'm hesitant to put it in D tier. I kind of want to slap it down in C. It's another track that I'm just not really picking. GBA Cheeseland. Okay, so this is a special one. GBA Cheeseland, because this is a GBA remake, which I already don't like, and it's also Cheeseland, which in itself just sucks. I mean, this course, it's one of the more unique GBA ones because they actually added some like glider ramps, they added verticality to it. There's a lot more going on than the original GBA version of it, which is, it's good. And there's even like this little shortcut at the start here, which you can see in that little cheese cave. But I find this track incredibly annoying. I think the potholes are really annoying. I think the turns after the chain chomp are really annoying and not like super spaced out well, especially given where the potholes are on the track. I don't love the look of this one. It just looks like another desert track, which they just never look that good. This might be some personal bias affecting this one, but Cheeseland for me is an F tier, bro. I don't like Cheeseland. You will never see me picking Cheeseland. And that's that. All right, next up is 3DS DK Jungle. So I think this track is pretty good, to be honest. I like the turns. I think the drivability is very good. It's got some interesting stuff like the mushrooms, tree roots, the bongo guys that get in your way. Oh, the little frog too. Fuck that frog, man. I really like how the shortcut in the cave has been transformed into a glider shortcut. I think that's a nice touch. As well as having the glider section towards the end with the big statues that are blowing wind on you and the multiple paths towards the end, which can give you a slight edge over, I don't know, some computers. I think overall this track has a lot going for it, but not a crazy amount. I'm gonna put it in B. I think B is a pretty fair ranking for 3DS DK Jungle. I think there's some better ones to come. Next up, where are we going? We're going to Wee Moo Moo Meadows. I mean, this is just, it's a classic, right? So this is a very basic track, but of course, it is a classic. It's a fan favorite. But like I said, I'm looking at this in a vacuum. In a vacuum with my own biases, at least. I actually really enjoy racing on Moo Moo Meadows. I think the glider ramp is a very good addition to the Mario Kart 8 version. I like to just fly over that entire section by hitting the boost ramp. The cows are an iconic and unique obstacle, and there's plenty of space on the grass to use all your shortcuts and items and what have you. You got the Monty Moles as well. I mean, it's an iconic track that races really well, and I think it's a B tier. I think B is a good spot for it because in a vacuum, it doesn't have much going on for it, but it does race very well. It's not annoying, and I like the aesthetic. I mean, and the music, man. The music just puts you right in the mood for some Moo Moo Meadows. All right, next we are going to N64 Royal Raceway. Okay, N64 Royal Raceway. This track I actually do pick sometimes because I think it races pretty damn well. It's got good opportunities to cut off the track using mushrooms and stuff like that, but I will admit that aesthetically, it doesn't have a whole lot going on. It's nice to see Peach's Castle. Although, you know what? I am docking points since you can't go visit Peach's Castle like you could in the old game. That's some bullshit, Nintendo. What are we doing? But yeah, I mean, I think it races well. It's got some interesting parts, a pretty short glider section, but I'm not really going to dock it much for that. I think the fact that it races well and it's not super annoying is enough for me to look past the fact that it doesn't have much going on. I'm going to put it in C tier. I think it's a good, like, default track. I'd pick it sometimes. Alright, next we're headed to Dragon Driftway. Okay, so Dragon Driftway gets full points for aesthetics, needless to say. I also think it races really well. It sort of reminds me of one of the F-Zero tracks, just without, like, the speed aspect to it. I think this track always makes for pretty good races. I mean, it's very twisty turny. You're constantly drifting, which I think is a very good sign. But other than that, like, it doesn't have a whole lot else going for it. I'd say it's kind of in the realm of being like a pure racetrack. I can't think of many like obstacles on the track, but there are little sections that you can cut corners on, which I think is good. And it provides enough of a, what do you call it? Rubber band. Now I'm looking at this one and I'm like, damn, which ones am I gonna put in A and B? Because I don't think that this one is really any better than these ones. I don't think it has any more going on for it. other than just it looks really fucking cool. So I'm gonna put it in B for now, and I'm just gonna leave it there. I might move things around. We'll see. Okay, now we're headed to Thwomp Ruins. All right, Thwomp Ruins is in the Mushroom Pack, so it's one of the first ones you play in the game. It's kind of a warm-up track, but it is probably the most interesting of the warm-up tracks, I will say. This section that we're looking at right here is kind of the main point of interest of this track. I mean, right before it, you have another interesting section where you can drive on the wall. You got the big wheels that spin down and open the shortcut in the middle with the glide ramp. That's pretty neat. The aesthetic of this track is very nice. I quite like it. I always kind of like when the tracks focus on a really like niche character. Like this one is themed around thwomps, which are like seldom celebrated characters in the Mario universe. I think it races really well. Honestly, I like the shortcut at the end with the little suspended sort of ramp that you can jump off the track and go off of, as well as the mushroom shortcut at the very beginning. Honestly, it's not a bad track at all. I'm gonna throw it in B. I think it's another B tier track. I don't know which ones I'm gonna put in A, you know? I don't really know. Okay, we have placed 10 tracks so far, and we've placed none of them in A or S. And GCN Dry Desert, unfortunately, will not be going in A or S either. Alright, so I've already talked a bit about how I don't think the desert maps are ever very good. I think the only one that's ever really done it for me is, I think it was Dry Ruins on the Wii. It had that sort of indoor section that filled up with sand. That was cool. Do that again. This one, let me think. I guess it does have some interesting aspects to it. It has the towers that fall down, which is kind of just a staple of every Mario Kart desert track. I think the only thing that this track really has going for it is at the very end of the course, where you have the sinkhole, which is pretty cool. It's kind of unique, but I'll say it's pretty annoying to drive around. I don't like getting sucked into it, and it's a very small line that you have to drift around. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nothing for a pro gamer like me. But I will say, I'm never picking this track, ever. But yeah, also right before the end, it has the underwater oasis section with the geysers, and it's just, it's uninspiring. It's an uninspiring track. It's uninspiring. It's forgettable. God damn it, I'm putting it in F. Get an F, Dry Desert. I mean, even the name is just uninspiring. Almost no creativity in this track. It's saving grace. If it had one even, it's still an F despite having it, is the sinkhole. It's the only interesting thing. Where are we going next? Take me to an A tier or S tier destination, please. What? Water park. Okay, water park. Let's think really quickly. What is the one thing about this track that is kind of interesting? It has loop-de-loop. But when you're on the loop-de-loop, it doesn't even feel like a loop-de-loop because it's really not a loop-de-loop. It's just a long turn that you've been shifted sideways for. It's just it's an entire rotation of turning left. And then what else is on this track? Tell me what else is on this track that's kind of interesting. There's a Ferris wheel at the end that you have to avoid. No, I mean, this track is literally, it's a left turn surrounded by a mediocre track. Water park, we've got 2 in a row. You're an F tier. F tier track. Water park is dog shit. Alright, since we have none in A tier yet, I'm gonna be very, very picky when it comes to S tier, because it seems like we're gonna have a lot less than I thought. Alright, Rainbow Road. This is, of course, the Mario Kart 8 Rainbow Road. What do I think about this track? So this track has split pathways, very unique split pathways, I will add, because you can jump from one to the other to save time. It's got some conveyor belts, and it's a Rainbow Road, so of course it's gonna have good turns that are punishing if you don't take them right. Although I will say, compared to other Rainbow Roads, it's not the most amazing Rainbow Road out there. I do like the theme though. I think that the space station theme is really cool. I don't think they did it for any of the other ones. I kind of like how it's not just a random Rainbow Road in space. Okay, upon further review, this track is a lot shorter than I realize. And honestly, for me, it's kind of forgettable. I had to refresh myself on what the track actually looked like just to make sure I wasn't giving it an unfair ranking. And I think creativity-wise, as far as the track design goes, it's not anything super special. I do like what it's got going for it, but damn it, I don't think I'm putting it in A tier. I think it's another B tier track. I think it's B tier. Man, the B tier is filling up because I'm too scared to put things in A tier. I might have to go back and change some things. We'll see. B tier is like slightly, it's better than mid, you know? All right, what do we got? We got Sweet Sweet Canyon. It's got a split track section, which has a shortcut on it, and it has the donut shortcut at the end. I mean, this one, I think it's a lower half track for sure. I don't know whether D or C. Am I, All right, I've decided. I'm making some changes. Super Bell Subway, you're too claustrophobic and I don't like you. Twisted Mansion, you can stay there. You can stay there too. And yeah, I'm gonna go with this. I think Sweet Sweet Canyon is pretty boring. It's just got nothing going for it. The reason I decided to move this around is because I was thinking, I was like, maybe D tier should be for the ones that I'm just not picking, but aren't flat out horrible. Like C tier is where I'm picking these once in a blue moon, you feel me? D tier, I'm never picking these. And F tier, these are just god awful. Nobody should pick these. Okay, so I guess we're keeping that criteria system in mind. I don't know, I'm just going. You gotta understand this. Off the dome, I'm going. Aruba, Jamaica, ooh, I wanna take you to Mario Circuit. Okay, yeah, okay. Mario Circuit. Okay, so this is a figure 8 circuit, which already kind of docks it points in my book. Not super creative, but I do understand the need to have some more simple tracks in the game. I guess I will give it credit. It's probably the most enjoyable figure 8 circuit they've ever made, maybe, unless I'm forgetting about something. I like how it's all 0G and it like kind of like and crosses over itself, you know? It twists. It's like a twisty track. And it does have some jumps. You can mushroom boost across the grass, and there's some Goomba towers, which, you know, if you don't know me yet, I love some Goomba towers. Wink, wink. Yeah, but I mean, I'm gonna be honest. In a vacuum, it's a figure 8 circuit. Not my cup of tea, you know? I'm not picking it. It is fun on 200cc, and that's a whole nother thing, you know? This isn't a 200cc tier list. This is a 150cc tier list, okay? Let's make that clear. Also, it's the classic thing of like, what self-respecting person in their right mind would pick Mario in a Mario game? What the fuck is wrong with you? That same energy is applied to Mario Circuit, but in my opinion, it is a little bit more fun than the hour-long left-hand turn of Water Park, so I'm gonna put it above Water Park. All right, next we got Hyrule Castle. Okay, what do I think of Hyrule Castle? I think it's a good course. I think it's very drivable. I like the addition of the shortcut that has a specific like unlocking process to it. You have to hit the 3 spinny zero grav things in the middle of the track before the Master Sword lets you do a spinny zero grav thing around it. I think that's cool. It's just about the only shortcut on that track if you don't count the grass mushroom jump shortcuts. The theme is very nice. It's a very nice track to look at. It's fun to drive on. Man, I genuinely don't know where to put this. I think more restructuring might be in order here. All right. Some of you aren't gonna like this, but I've had a change of heart, a change of fart, and I've decided that Moo Moo Meadows is moving down, and Hyrule Castle is going to accompany it here in C tier. Now, why do I think that? I think that both of these maps have approximately the same amount of things going for it, and it sort of aligns with Twisted Mansion and Royal Raceway, where like after looking at the tracks above them, I think that they just have a little bit more going on for me, you know, more split pathways, more interesting shortcuts. That's kind of what I'm looking at here. All right, I'm letting it spin, and I'm gonna come back, and it better be a goddamn S tier. Oh shit. Wait, Mount Wario. Okay, wait, hold on. Now this track is up here. We finally hit the upper echelon. Now the question just is, where does it go? Okay, so Mount Wario is like an extremely unique track. There is so much going on this track, from it being a point-to-point, to the tree section, to the dam section, the cave section. I really like the shortcut towards the start where you can drift off one side of the icy road and land on the next right before the cave section. The ski slaloms, oh my god. I mean, this track just like, it never drops the like excitement factor. Like the whole time, you are just going. There's a glider section over the ski jump. There's a turn at the very end that presents an opportunity to pass people if you've got items. I mean, this track has it all, quite literally. I think this might be a little weird since we haven't put any in A yet, but I do think that Mount Wario is our first S tier track. I genuinely think that. I will pick Mount Wario often because when you know the lines on this track, you can just dominate. When you know how to get through the tree section, you're on top. And honestly, I think it's the most fun snow-themed map they've ever made. I think the only one that even comes slightly close is DK Summit. All right, where we going? Ice Outpost. Okay, this is an interesting one. So you know how I was saying how I really like when there are like branching paths, multiple paths that you can take on a track? Yeah, well this one took that and said, yeah, that's the whole fucking track. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't like it that much. I feel like it's just weird having the racers be on two different sides of the track the whole time, and it just gets kind of awkward when items are coming into the equation. That is like kind of what makes this track very unique when it comes to all the other ones. So I'm not going to dock it too much just for the fact that I don't personally like it. It also has some interesting off-track shortcuts, such as right at the end and some in the middle as well. Honestly, the track like has a lot of interesting things going on with it, but like I said, I don't like this track that much. I feel like some people might have it like A or B. I think I'm going to put it in C. Just because I feel like it's a little too disjointed. When you're racing it, it doesn't feel as much like a traditional Mario Kart track. And while that's fine in some instances, this one, it just doesn't do it for me. I think branching paths are good, but not when it's the whole track. Not when the whole path is branched. You need to branch your paths sparingly, Nintendo, okay? You can't just bust your load and suddenly you got twin paths, alright? Bag it up. Be safe, alright? We don't need another Ice Outpost type track. I think it is fine occupying its niche in C tier. Oh, okay. 3DS Neo Bowser City. Okay. This might be a little bit of a controversial one, just like the last one might have been, but I really like 3DS Neo Bowser City. Let me tell you why. This track maybe has the best lines in the game, in my opinion. It is so satisfying to drive on. You are just drifting the entire time. The lines are fun. There's a glider, like air pipe shortcut at the end type beat, I don't know. And that's really like the only shortcut on this map. So, you know, by my definitions, it would probably be like around here. Like you would probably have it around here, I think. But I think this track is so fun to drive on. I pick this track all the time. And you know what? I will acknowledge that it's probably not the most universally liked track. But I gotta say, the drivability, the shortcut at the end, and the theme, man, the setting, a cyberpunk Bowser City? Come on, bro. For me, personally, this is an S tier track, but I'm gonna put it in A. I think that's a little too biased of me to put it in S tier. I think A is a good spot. It's a compromise because I want it in S tier. You guys probably want it in C tier. I think it's great. I think it's a great track. It's visually stunning, races really well. All right, next we're going to GBA Ribbon Road. All right, I'm glad we got this one. Because honestly, honestly, this is a really good track. I like this track a lot. The theme 10 out of 10. I mean, the bedroom setting, that's more than Nintendo did for like any of the other tracks combined. Look at it. It's sick as fuck. I mean, having the whole track be like toy blocks and like the ribbon road waving around is super dynamic and cool. Some people might find it annoying, but I think it's kind of a skill thing. I mean, there are shortcuts galore on this track. There are obstacles to avoid. The lines are really nice. If you can hit those shortcuts, you're kind of a god, honestly, like at the end. And of course, there's like the columns at the end, which you can mushroom drift through, and it's like a huge shortcut. This track has a lot going for it. It's got a glider section with stuff to avoid. These guys, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I think this is a really good track, honestly. I pick this one all the time as well. I think it's super fun to drive on. I'm putting it in A tier. All right, next we got Cloud Top Cruise, which is this boy right here. All right, Cloud Top Cruise gets full points for aesthetics for me. And as a track, it's not bad either. I think everything prior to the tunnel section is very good. The tunnel section itself is pretty cool. I like how there are boost panels that have lightning come down on them, so you have to really pay attention to where you're going. I quite enjoy the leaf shortcut at the end. It's really funny to watch people fuck it up. It's got a little mushroom shortcut. The pirate ship part is pretty cool. And yeah, just the aesthetic really ties it all together. I think this is a pretty good track. And as such, I will be placing it in B tier. Where to next, oh mighty picker wheel? DS Tick-Tock Clock, a classic. All right, Tick-Tock Clock from the DS. Now the DS, famously, I feel like has some of the best tracks in Mario Kart history. And I think this is no exception, to be honest. Now this track is definitely sitting up here somewhere. I don't know where, but it's up here somewhere. Now this track is dynamic throughout. There is always something going on, whether it's clock hands moving, gears turning, fucking grandfather clock, whatever the hell those things are called. I don't know, but they be a swinging. They're swinging. Watch out. I think the track has a lot going for it, honestly, but the one thing that I will say is that there's no big shortcuts really, and there's no split pathways. It's quite linear, and it has a big glider straightaway, which does have its own interesting parts to it with the moving gears, but I'm struggling to say that I want it in A tier. I feel like it doesn't drive quite as well as the other ones in A tier, and the theme is, you know, it's given me like, it's kind of in the same spot as Dragon Driftway, where the theme is an absolute banger, but the track itself is like just pretty good. It's not like amazing. I think it's just pretty good. So I think it's pretty fair to put Tick-Tock Clock in B tier. All right, let's keep her going. We're not even halfway done yet. That is crazy. Okay, 3DS Music Park. Actually one that I find to be very similar to Tick-Tock Clock. I mean, yeah, this one honestly for me is very similar to Tick-Tock Clock. It's got like one very long straightaway glider section with its own interesting quirk to it with the big music notes that are jumping all around. It has its own very unique dynamic parts, which in this map are a little bit less dynamic than in Tick-Tock Clock, but you know, I'm talking about things like the instruments. I really like how you actually play the piano vibes and marimba and all that stuff, like the tambourines and drums when you do things on this track. Aesthetic is just perfect. But yeah, I mean, as an actual racetrack, I find it to be very similar to Tick-Tock Clock, and I'm pretty tempted to just put it in B tier as well. I think it's like almost there. If it just had some shortcuts, some alternate pathways, some things to make it a little bit more interesting, then it would be a better track. But I think that all the things it has going for it makes it a very fun and attractive option. I pick it quite often just because I like driving down the pianos. All right, where to next? Okay, Wild Woods. Now I have a theory about Wild Woods. I think Mario Kart, if you set it to random courses, it will never, ever give you Wild Woods. Now I'm gonna be honest. Wild Woods, the bias is kicking in hard, okay? I like this track a lot. I think aesthetically, it's beautiful. I really quite like the tracks that have the water sections because the turns are always just super fluid and you get to go fast. But I do like how this track feels like you are always going downhill. I mean, honestly, like off the top of my head, I can't even remember how you get back uphill. It just feels like you're always going downhill. But I think that they just play with perspective so much in this track that you never even notice when you're going uphill. This track has a few small shortcuts slash alternate pathways, which I think make it really nice. And honestly, it's just a fun track to drive on. I like every part of it, to be honest. I kind of feel like this might be a little biased, and I don't know exactly what biases are kicking in here other than I like the track. I think Wildwoods is an A-tier track. I think it's got a lot going on for it, and it's really pretty. I really just like driving on this track, and I think that's what's most important, right? You have to like driving on it. Let me check and make sure that this track is actually A-tier material. Okay, yeah, I mean, after further inspecting the track, I've noticed, you remember how I said that it really plays with perspective? I think this track might play with perspective more than any other track in the game. Fun fact, if you never noticed before, on the starting line of that track, you are literally 90 degrees vertical. You are facing straight up. I never noticed until I just looked at it. I think Wildwoods is really cool, really underrated. I never hear anyone really talking about it. I'm putting it in A tier. I think it's kind of a banger. It's a low-key banger. Underappreciated. And that is half the tracks, guys. That's half of them. Only half of them are on the board right now. And this is what we've got. Alright, what's next? What is that? Yoshi Valley. N64 Yoshi Valley. Alright, so remember what we said about Ice Ice Outpost being entirely just one big split path? Yeah, well, Yoshi Valley kind of takes that and puts it on another fucking level. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I don't personally enjoy racing on Yoshi Valley that much, but I think it's because I don't really play online that much, and I usually only play with my friends, and they don't know the track as good as I do. Basically, what I'm saying is, not everyone knows that there is one correct way to go on this track, despite there being about 15 different ways to go. And while, you know, you could argue that's not exactly the track's fault for being confusing, you know, players should just learn their lines and get good. But for me personally, it can make for some kind of uninteresting races until people actually figure out which line is the right one to take. Then it becomes a pretty decent track, but at the same time, once you get to that point, you just are taking the same line over and over again. It feels disingenuous. It's like there's this whole racetrack available to me that I never even see because it's pointless to go on any other path. And honestly, for that reason, like if you are taking the right path, it's a good line. It's an enjoyable line to drive, but I think just the way that this track is built as kind of a gimmick pseudo labyrinthian course, I'm not really vibing with it too much. And since we gotta fill up these other tiers, you know, I think this is an appropriate time to throw a track in D tier. So yeah, Yoshi Valley, I'm throwing it in D tier. All right, where are we going? Animal Crossing. Interesting. Okay, so this track is really boring. To be honest, there's like nothing going on. The only interesting part about this course is the aesthetic, which, look, if it didn't change seasons, it's really boring. Even the aesthetic is boring. God, there's nothing going on this track. It's very boring. It's boring! Yeah, I mean, this track is super boring. I have nothing to say about this track. It's boring. I'm putting it in D tier. It's not so bad that it has to go in F tier. It's not annoying to drive on, but my God, is it boring. By the way, these are in no order. I'm just cleaning this up for you guys and for me, to be honest. GCN Sherbertland. Okay, this track is also pretty damn boring, I'm not gonna lie. I think that the ice tracks, like, I get what they're going for. You know, if you want to be a good driver, you gotta be able to drive on any surface, you feel me? So go drive on the surface of an iced over lake. I just don't find there to be that much that's interesting about this track. There is, like, the shortcut literally right here. That's like the only shortcut I can really think of on this track, except for just driving over the snow. There's the water part at the end, which you only see if you fuck up, which, you know, me, never see it. Never even seen it, actually. I just learned about it. Not really, but yeah, man, I don't know. This is, where do I put it? Where do I put it? Does it deserve F tier? The cave section is very boring. It's like 1, 2, 3 turns, and you're out of the cave. Yeah, man, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't like this track, and I definitely never pick it. But man, it's not quite as bad as these ones, is it? Or is it? Bah, I think it is. Fuck it. Fuck it, man. Sherbertland, F tier. Ah, god damn it. Since I'm so hesitant about it, I'm not putting it in F tier. I'm putting it in D tier. I think it has a little tiny bit going for it. And if SNES Rainbow Road is up here in D tier, then god damn it, so is Sherbertland. I guess, you know, I don't hate driving on Sherbertland as much as I hate driving on these three. So, you know, I think D is actually appropriate. Alright. We are going to Mute City. So the F1 tracks are kind of a different beast because they sort of have their own gimmick to them. In the same way that like Baby Park has its gimmick, the F-Zero tracks have their gimmick in that you're just supposed to go fast as fuck. And I like that, honestly. I think that's a very good thing, to just be able to let loose, go fast as hell. Okay, I've reviewed Mute City and Big Blue. I now have a full understanding of the differences between the two. I promise you I've raced on them a bajillion times. My memory bad, okay? Mute City is the 3-lap F-Zero course that is just littered with boost panels. Now, I love that, okay? I love that they just let you go fucking full force, pedal to the metal. We're going fast on this track, okay? And you don't even have a choice. We're going fast. I also really like this track because it has the coin panels on the sides. You don't have to worry about spending fucking 800% of your concentration making sure that you get $10. You can just do it pretty much instantly and you don't have to worry about it. You can just race. I think that Mute City is an easy A tier. Easy A tier. I mean, the shortcut at the end as well, when you turn early and you can just cut that whole part, banger. Yeah, I mean, Mute City is an A tier, for sure. For sure. All right, we got, oh, brother, we got N64 Toad's Turnpike. This track is the worst track in the game. This is the worst track in the game, in my opinion. This track sucks. There are 0 redeemable things about this track. Remember how I was like, oh, fucking Toad Harbor, this is the best Toad track in the game. Yeah, this is the worst Toad track in the game. And Toad Circuit literally exists. This track is literally just a figure 8 with cars on it. There's nothing interesting about this track. There are the sideways 0 grav sections that don't help you get ahead at all. You only go on there if you need to get your money up. I mean, this is just driving straight for 30 seconds and then turning left or right for 30 seconds and avoiding cars, man. Even like the one interesting thing that they could have added, the glider, you barely ever even get to use it, and when you use it, it's like, dope, bro, I'm back on the figure 8 circuit with the cars again. Like, it lasted for 5 seconds and now I'm back on this god-forsaken turnpike. Yeah, honestly, I don't, unless I'm forgetting about any of them, in my humble opinion, Toad's Turnpike is the worst track in the whole game. All right, Sunshine Airport. Ooh. I don't know if you guys are gonna like my opinions about Sunshine Airport. So first of all, some of you might think like, oh, but the theme of this track is pretty nice. We're on Delfino Island or whatever, and we're at a nice little airport. Sweet. Bro, the airport sucks. It's like one of the worst places on earth you could be. The airport. It is inconvenient central, okay? I get bad vibes just loading into Sunshine Airport because I'm reminded of all the bullshit that I have to go through in the normal airport. Also, this track is just like, oh my god, I just realized this track is just like, if not worse, than Water Park. It's just as bad, if not worse. And let me tell you why. It has the same exact big ass turn, except instead of going left, this time you're going right. And by the way, instead of that specific turn being surrounded by a mediocre track, the turn on Sunshine Airport is literally surrounded by runways. You are going straight. You go straight for a good while, and then you take off on a glider, go straight even farther, and then you turn right for about 20 seconds, and then you glide straight for 5 more seconds, and then you drive straight for 5 more seconds. That's like 30 seconds per lap that you are either driving straight or just turning right. This track sucks. This track legit sucks. There are such small details about this track that are cool. The airplane landing and taking off with you, that's cool, okay? I can admit, that's cool. Driving through the cabin of the airplane, that's cool. So honestly, like, it's not a worse version of Water Park. I think it's pretty damn comparable to Water Park, though, if we're being completely honest. But I do, I feel like it doesn't deserve F for some reason. I don't know why. I feel like it doesn't deserve F for some reason. But why? Why doesn't it deserve it? I can't think of one reason why this track is any better than Water Park. So it has to go in F, right? I mean, if I'm grading off the same criteria, it might even be worse than Water Park. I don't know. I have to put it in F since Water Park's in F. And now that I've really sat and thought about it, it's like a reskinned Water Park. Okay. Mario Kart Stadium. All right, we finally hit the very first track in the game. This track is really boring as well. Some of these tracks are so boring, I don't know where to place them. Fuck, man. Is this an F tier track too? Does this track suck that bad? It races well, but it's literally like 3 turns. It's 3 turns. It's the first track in the game. It's not supposed to be that good. It's 3 turns. It's 3 turns. Okay, you know what? I'm breaking the standards. I feel like I have to for this one because we have these 2 goobers. We've got these 2 fucking goober ass tracks. And to be honest, I don't know how I feel about them. I do feel like this one is more fun to drive on than Mario Kart Stadium. All right. Okay, you know what? I'm making adjustments. Fuck. What do I do? Fuck. I'm making adjustments. Okay, Mario Circuit, you're F tier now. Sorry. Mario Kart Stadium, you're also F tier. You suck too. And then this one, D tier. Yeah, you know what? Actually, I feel pretty good about this. I think this is okay. Like, am I really gonna try to kid myself that these aren't boring tracks just because I'm potentially overpopulating D and F tier at this point? No. I think these tracks are pretty bad and uninteresting. And you know what? I feel bad saying that they're bad tracks, but they are most certainly uninteresting compared to a lot of the other ones. So yeah, I'm sticking with this, okay? I'm going with my gut. I'm doubling down. Next up is Bone Dry Dunes. Okay, this track is the most forgettable track in the game. I like Dry Bowser a lot, and I think it's pretty dope that he has his own themed track here. But yeah, I mean, this is a forgettable-ass track. I think of the desert tracks, it's not bad, and I think it has more going for it than some of the ones down here, but it's not especially fun to drive on. I don't like this track. Man, the farther I get in this, the more I'm like, ooh, I need to make changes. I think this track actually has like a lot of stuff going for it. I think I'm just overlooking it because it has like the upper section at the end that I can never get on. And it's got the sideways wall. I mean, it's got some piranha plants. The turns at some parts feel okay. At some parts, they feel really weird. It does have a split pathway, which is nice. I mean, I don't think I can, in good conscience, give this track a D. I think it's like, I have this at like the lowest C possible. I'm gonna put Bone Dry Dunes in a C tier. Because while I think it is extremely forgettable, it has redeeming qualities that I'm willing to accept. Alright, next up we got Yoshi Circuit. Okay. I quite like Yoshi's Circuit. I think that the lines are really nice. It drives super well. I love the theme of it, how the track is shaped like a Yoshi, and it actually works really well as a circuit. The waterfall shortcut is a classic. I think there used to be another shortcut on this map that may or may not be here anymore. I don't know. Yeah, okay, you know, I just sat and thought for a little bit. I'm gonna make a couple adjustments here. I'm gonna take Thwomp Ruins and drop it down a tier. It really isn't the most insane track, but I think Yoshi Circuit is pretty deserving of at least B tier. I was gonna think like, you know, I put Neo Bowser City in A because of its drivability, and I think that it is just that much more fun to drive on, but Yoshi Circuit is genuinely a very fun track to drive on. And I just noticed I've got this really evenly split right now, and that was not on purpose at all, to be honest. Alright, what's next? Where are you taking me? SNES Donut Plains 3. Okay, so we know how I feel about tracks like this. If it's got these like colorful barriers, it's probably not the best track in my opinion. It's probably pretty boring. And this one isn't much different. I think it's one of the better ones though, as far as, you know, driving on it. It's actually it's not bad to drive on at all. Like, it's kind of how I feel about the D tier courses, where they're not bad to drive on whatsoever, but they just don't have much going on for them. But it's definitely not F tier. It's definitely not F tier. It's too drivable to be an F tier. Like, the theme is non-existent. But it's not, I think these two are pretty similar for me. Like, they're not super unfun to drive on, they're not super boring, but they're not amazing. Where we going, where we going? Ooh, okay, Shy Guy Falls. Shy Guy Falls is a pretty simple track. It's pretty dope though at the same time. I really like the theme of it. Just like the huge waterfall is dope. Going up it and then making the U-turn and heading straight back down is a very unique touch. The split pathways at the end with the glider ramp is a nice touch. That's really all I like have to say about this track. I don't think it's A. I think it is a good track though. Honestly, like, yeah, it's kind of like a wow factor of the track is what makes it nice. Like, driving up and down the waterfall really is the main attraction of this track. Other than that, it doesn't have a whole lot going for it. The turns are okay, nothing special, and the scenery is pretty nice, I guess. But yeah, there are some unique parts to this track. I'll pick it now and then. I think I'm gonna put it in C tier. Alright, next up we got DS Cheep Cheep Beach. Now, the Mario Kart 8 version of Cheep Cheep Beach is definitely improved from the DS version. Being able to drive in the water is a nice touch. You don't have to just drive across the thin little sandbar to get where you're going. The obstacles, like the crabs and stuff, aren't too obnoxious. There's not really any shortcuts or anything like that on this map, but it does provide for some pretty decent racing. I think it has enough drivability and enough interest to avoid the D tier, but I think C tier is looking like a pretty good spot for it. Alright, the 11th pick, taking us into the bottom 10. Uh-oh! Alright, it is finally time to talk about the hellscape. Alright, Baby Park is an enigma. I don't think any two people share the same exact feelings about Baby Park. My personal feelings are that in a vacuum, it's horrible. It's god-awful. Competitively, the worst track that could be ever made. But look, it's a gimmick track, okay? That's its whole thing, is it's a gimmick. And god damn it, it does its gimmick really well. And so I simply refuse to put it in F tier. It's a dog shit track, and I don't pick it, ever. Never. I will never pick Baby Park, because I want to win. And, well, on Baby Park, winning is simply out of your hands. So yeah, Baby Park for me is going in D tier because I fully understand what it's trying to be, what it needs to be a successful track in its gimmick. And I think it does it pretty damn well. No other track like Baby Park needs to exist thanks to the fact that Baby Park exists. Am I making sense here? Alright, final 10. Starting it off with We Grumble Volcano. Okay, so Grumble Volcano, you know, I think this is a pretty polarizing track. I think you either like it or you fucking hate it. I mean, this is a punishing track, maybe even more punishing than something like a Rainbow Road. And honestly, I think that's kind of what I like about it. I think there's a lot of little shortcut opportunities. There's a lot of alternate pathways. It's really unique the way the track falls apart and makes it skinnier throughout. Guys, this is a good track, okay? It doesn't have many new, like, Mario Kart 8 type things to it. although there is a glider section. But I just think that the shortcuts on this map are very subtle, you know? You gotta be clever if you want to take the shortcuts on this map. And you also gotta be fast and precise. There are a lot of obstacles on this map, but for me, they're very like avoidable, especially if you take the right lines. Trust me, if you take the right lines on this map, you're gonna be flying. So, man, I kind of like this track. Although I will say that with 12 people on this track and the fact that it gets thinner and thinner, it gets a little chaotic and can be a little frustrating at times. I think that this track deserves B tier. You know, I think that's pretty agreeable. I think if we really wanted to, we could push it up to A tier, and I think other people would argue that it should go down. So I think that B is a good spot for it. I think this is a good compromise. And we got Dolphin Shoals, aka the map with the sax solo. Alright, Dolphin Shoals is a cute little track. I think it might be, is it the only track that's like all underwater? Well, it's not all underwater. It has a classic water park, Sunshine Airport, really long one-way turn. Although on this track, you know, it makes up a lot less of the actual track, and I think it's actually fine on this track. The underwater cave section, where it splits off into like 5 different ways you can go, is really cool, and I always kind of find myself wanting to take other paths, despite the one down the middle being the one I always just choose naturally. And then yeah, you got the little section at the end, which you can kind of take a few places if you've got a mushroom right before the finish line. I think that this is a decent track. You know, honestly, it's not crazy fun to drive on. I did forget about the eel part. The eel part is pretty cool. If you're anything like me and you don't take the alternate paths too often, then this track doesn't really have that much going. I think that I'm gonna put it in a C tier. I think it's pretty adjacent with all of the other maps here in C. Wario's Gold Mine. Okay, Wario's Gold Mine. Sort of a roller coaster-y type of track. I mean, this is an absolute classic track, right? This track always kind of gave me like Rainbow Road vibes, but kind of with like a reskin to it. I think this track's super fun. Honestly, I think the turns are pretty good. I'm glad that they changed the mine carts to have the zero grav boost effect. That was a nice little change. And of course it has the alternate path shortcut at the end that you can hit. For me, this track is just like, it's iconic, it's nostalgic, it's really fun to drive on for me personally. I really quite enjoy the lines that it has. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in A tier, I think. I think this is an A tier worthy track. Even in a vacuum, I think it's just a very fun track to drive on. The ups and downs are nice, the turns are nice, everything's pretty nice about it. Okay, Excite Bike Arena. Now, when I said that thanks to Baby Park existing, no other tracks like Baby Park need to exist anymore, yeah, I was kind of talking about this one. Now, in a vacuum, this track it's probably better than Baby Park, right? I mean, it's cool that it's like different every time. That's about the only thing that's cool about it, if I'm being honest. It's just a longer version of Baby Park with some jumps and some fucking mud. And look, I get it. It's an Excite Bike themed track. This is how Excite Bike looked. This is how it would look if it was 3D. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't care. I think that this like never should have come back as DLC after Baby Park existed. I think the fact that Baby Park and Excite Bike Arena came in as DLC is a little bit disingenuous from Nintendo. I mean, they couldn't put a little bit more work into this. I mean, who in their right mind was asking for like an Excite Bike throwback? I bet you Nintendo only did this because it promotes one of their franchises, one of their fucking old dead franchises, and B, it makes for a really fucking easy track to make. Yeah, I mean, I think Excite Bike Arena just has no reason for existing. And for that reason, I think it does its gimmick worse than Baby Park, because Baby Park will always be the superior Baby Park type track. All right, where are we going next, baby? N64 Rainbow Road. Yeah, N64 Rainbow Road. I'm gonna be real, this track might be just as boring as SNES Rainbow Road. I don't like it that much. Like, It is so uninspiring. The setting is cool. It's cool that you're like over a town and it's like Christmas or something. I don't know, but the track itself is just, it just doesn't have that much going on for it. There's nothing going on. There's like no obstacles. It's just Rainbow Road. You know, you can fall off. That's like the only thing that is dangerous about this track. This Rainbow Road is significant in the sense that it's not even, you're not even at that big of a risk to fall off. There's no hard turns. There's no like tricky boost panels. Unless I'm like forgetting something, there's just not that much going on this track. I don't like it that much. I don't think it's that good. I think it's kind of bad. I think it's kind of a bad track, and I'm gonna put it in D because I don't like this track. I think it's boring. All right, the final 5. Where are we going first? Electrodrome. Okay, this map is very, I guess a word I would use for it is enclosed or like linear. It has the split paths at the end, which is nice. And the aesthetic is very cool. I can't deny that. I mean, it's like a whole ass nightclub. That's sick as hell. The track itself, though, it doesn't have too much going on for it, especially like at the start and end. It's pretty bog standard default. The split paths part is probably the most interesting part of this track, and honestly, like if it didn't have a whole like nightclub going on around it, it'd probably be a pretty boring track. But it drives well enough. It is kind of a boring track, isn't it? It doesn't have that much going on. I'm giving it too much credit for the split paths, I think. I think Electrodrome might be a C tier track. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at these tracks and I'm like, yeah, these are like the same. These are like kind of the same thing going on here. Electrodrome, I think I'm gonna put Electrodrome in C. All right, final 4. Final 4, baby. Okay, DS Wario Stadium. So that would be this guy right here. This map, I would say, has pretty good lines. I mean, how much is really going on this track? There's a lot of mud, but you can kind of skip over it pretty quickly. There is a random fucking vertical section towards the end, a couple jumps. How do I feel about this one? I think this might be another C tier, honestly. Do I need to move any up from B tier? Am I fucking up here? This may very well be another C tier. Yeah, I mean, there's no shortcuts on this map. There's nothing super interesting going on, but it's not bad either. It's fun enough to race on, and there's nothing super annoying happening. I think it's C tier because I don't have anything good or really bad to say about it. Okay, we're finally on to the final 3. This is taking so long. Okay. What are we going? Where are we going? 3DS Piranha Plant slide. We're sliding. Okay, 3DS Piranha Plant slide. I kind of like this track. I think it's pretty claustrophobic, but it has some interesting things going on. The water rushing is a nice touch. The Piranha Plants are, you know, you gotta avoid them. I like how you can go left, right, or jump over him. It's got a little glider section that you can fuck up if you're not being careful. And a few little shortcuts at the end. You can bust through a cardboard bush, and I think that's pretty cool. No alternate pathways, but I think that this one's super interesting and it races really well. I'm gonna put it in B, and we're moving on, all right? I'm trying to get done with this. All right, what will the second to last track be? It's gonna be Bowser's Castle. Okay, so Bowser's Castle from Mario Kart 8, I think is actually a pretty decent Bowser's Castle. Bowser's Castle tracks are usually pretty creative. They have some interesting things going on. There's usually fireballs and a whole other assortment of things that are gonna hit you on your way down the track. In this case, it is literally Bowser's fist. You get fisted by Bowser on this track. And for that, it's going in S tier. Just kidding. But this track does have some interesting things to it. It's got the split pathways, which wobble. That's cool. The Bowser Fist, which is an interesting thing to have to avoid. It's got a glider section with the lava geysers, and it's got some boulders rolling down a hill. Oh, it also has the little like eye lasers that are taking you out. Basically, around every turn on this track, there's something that's trying to hit you and kill you. But if you take the right line, you can get around it. Honestly, I think that this track is pretty good. I don't think I want to put it in A tier, though. I think it's going in B tier. I have to put it B tier. And that leaves us with one final track, Big Blue. Now, I already put Mute City in A tier, which means that I might like the F-Zero tracks. I might like them. I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is that Big Blue has a lot of shit going on. You got conveyor belts with boost panels on them. You got the split path river section where you can bounce back and forth between streams. That's fucking sick. You are constantly going a million miles an hour on this track, and I'm pretty sure you're going downhill damn near the whole time. It's also point to point, just like Mount Wario. It seems like on point to point maps, they are willing to just go crazy and not let you have a second of downtime without something interesting happening. Guys, I wasn't gonna end it with just one S tier. Big Blue for me is absolutely deserving of an S tier spot. It's so fun to drive on. I don't think you can argue otherwise. I pick it all the time because it is just so fun to go fast as hell, not have to worry about coins, not have to worry about fucking anything slowing you down on this track, because the only thing that can slow you down is yourself, your fucking friends, and I don't know, a conveyor belt that's going the wrong way maybe. Okay, so that is it. That's it. I've gotten through all 48 tracks of the original Mario Kart 8 Deluxe selection. I'm gonna be honest, I ended up with far fewer in S and A tier than I was anticipating, but I don't think my conscience allowed me to put some of these tracks any higher than I have them. I think that there are definitely some hot takes in here, and I would love to know what you guys think about them. Which tracks should I move up? Which tracks need to be moved down? Which tracks did I heavily overrate? Which did I underrate? Let me know. Well, that's gonna do it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it, even though it took me like 2 hours to stumble through all of the tracks. Patreon actually saw this video first, by the way, so if you're interested, go check it out. It's only $3 a month. You're supporting me, and I really appreciate it. Of course, no pressure. But yeah, once again, let me know what you thought of the rankings, and of course, let me know what you guys want to see next. But that's gonna do it for me, guys. Shotty out. Deuces.